Live from Lowell Park, Brad Klein alongside myself, Will Connerly, and we've got the penultimate game of the year. Here this evening, Cotuit Cavaliers here hosting the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox, who are playing some of the best baseball of the season right now. They've won 4 games in a row, and if you flip the page over to Cotuit, they were playing their best baseball of the year. They were on a 5-game win streak but dropped to Bourne 13-1 yesterday, and I welcome my partner Brad Klein here alongside the broadcasting setup right beyond home plate here at Lowell Park in YD versus Cotuit, the first of a home-and-home to finish off the 2021 summer season.
Yeah, and you mentioned before that YD is playing some of their best baseball of the year. You ignore the standings for a second. Right now is the best time to tune into a YD Red Sox baseball broadcast because you have the Red Sox winning 4 in a row for the first time all year, and Brooks Lee is playing the best baseball of his life.
And that's high praise for someone who is projected to be a top 5 pick in next year's MLB baseball draft. And also for someone who was a first-team All-American. Some of the best baseball of his life has come over the past week, and even the Cape League recognized it. Cape League Player of the Week, Brooks Lee, Brad. But when you have 18 hits over your last 34 at-bats with 7 extra base hits, including 3 home runs, 1 coming yesterday as well, it's nice. And when we talk about yesterday and Brooks Lee, YD played well yesterday. A complete victory over Chatham, 8-1. They topped the Anglers.
Yeah, I told you it was the most complete game that they've played all year. I said that on the broadcast, and I meant it because the pitching was phenomenal. Jacob Metter stepping up in a big way, and then behind him, C.J. Culpepper getting it done. And the offense from wire to wire was complete. You had the 2 home runs, one from Tanner Smith and one from Brooks Lee. But the bottom line is YD got some base runners on the pond, and that's what they're going to have to do today against Hamilton Oliver.
And it's not just YD has won 4 games in a row. They've won 4 games in a row in convincing fashion. They've outscored opponents 34-6 after the 8-1 win in a 4-game stretch last night. Another double-digit hitting performance. And we talk a lot about Brooks Lee, but also Tanner Smith playing his best baseball of the summer as well. Average up to 279. An 8-game hitting streak, has 13 runs driven in that span, and is 6th in the league with 23 runs driven in. He's really turned it on for the Red Sox as well.
Yeah, turned it on and then some, right? An 8-game hitting streak, 13 RBIs in that stretch, and the All-American really proving his worth. His batting average has skyrocketed over those past 8 games. You're seeing a lot of multi-hit games from Tanner Smith. He was on base 5 times yesterday, had a couple of free passes, but that just proves to you he's seeing beach balls out there. He knows how to work the count. He knows what he's doing as a YD Red Sox home stretch.
The YD Red Sox offense has looked really good as of late. There's been a lot of hits to go around during the last 4-game stretch. And let's look at the lineup, who can maybe get hits. They've gotten double-digit hits the last 10 games. Run down that order for us quickly, Brad.
Wyatt Hoffman, Tanner Smith, of course, Brooks Lee in the 3-hole, Cody Huff, Chase Luttrell, Zach Luke, Cade Hunter playing first for the first time as a YD Red Sox. Then it's Briley Knight and Crew Robinson in the 9-hole. That's the lineup, and here to tell you more about how they fare in the first inning is Will Connerly.
Well, thanks, Brad. Wyatt Hoffman atop the order, hitting .270. 0 for his last 8. His second longest skid of the season, as the first pitch is fouled back, strike 1 from the right-hander Hamilton Oliver. And Hamilton Oliver for Cotuit, hometown of Corpus Christi, Texas. Breaking ball that misses, low count, evens at a ball and a strike. He's from Baylor University, and it's his 11th appearance of the year for the Cavaliers, but just his 2nd start. But he's been pretty good over his past 4 outings out of the bullpen as the pitch misses upstairs to Wyatt Hoffman. Hasn't allowed an earned run over his last 4 outings, which have spanned 5 1/3 innings, all of which have come out of the bullpen. And the 2-1 pitch to Wyatt Hoffman, he takes for strike 2, and count knotted up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 15 2/3 innings tossed this year for Oliver. 15 strikeouts, 7 walks, and a 6.31 ERA. The longest he's gone this season came in his first outing of the season as Hoffman fouls away and out of play to the right side, a breaking ball on 2-2, staying alive. But his first appearance of the year, he went 3 innings, and His first 7 outings of the year, Cotuit did not win in games that he has pitched, but they've won the past 3 times that he's been involved in the box score on the pitching side as Hoffman fouls away another pitch, this time pulling it down the left field line foul. As count stays at 2 balls and 2 strikes, but just his second start of the year, his first start came in his second appearance of the year on June 27th when he allowed 3 earned runs and 4 hits in a 9-2 loss to Bourne. He just recorded 1 out during that start as Hoffman takes a low outside fastball for ball 3 as count is full. Hoffman has struck out to begin the game the past 3 times he's been atop the order for the Red Sox. And battling here against Oliver, the full count. Hoffman pops it up and foul. And a good plate appearance for Wyatt Hoffman to begin the game, making Oliver throw pitches here with a full count as he's fouled 3 pitches in this at-bat. Oliver out of Baylor, just finished his second freshman season as Hoffman hits this one to the right side, and it's down the right field line and fair. Noah Bridges in right field wasn't able to get to it, and a bloop single on a full count by Wyatt Hoffman to begin the top of the first. Hoffman battled during that at-bat and eventually took the fastball to right field the other way, and it dropped right to the left of the right field line in front of Noah Bridges. His first inning hit in the last 4 games and avoids going 0 for his last 9 as he's aboard on first base for Tanner Smith. A check on Hoffman, nothing doing. Tanner Smith hitting .279 on the season, an 8-game hit streak, and he's had 4 multi-hit games during that stretch, along with 13 runs driven in over the stretch. And Smith to the left side, make it 9-game hitting streak for Tanner Smith. As he goes the other way on the ground, Hoffman moves up to second, and Smith is on first. Back-to-back singles to begin the top of the first for the Red Sox. And here comes Brooks Lee. Brooks Lee just named the Cape Cod Player of the Week after going 18 for his last 34 over the past 8 games on an 8-game hitting streak where he's hitting .529 during that stretch with 3 home runs and 4 doubles during that span. But through 20 games with the Red Sox, he's hitting .420 this season. Had a little hiatus going to play for Team USA, but the batting average well above 400. As the switch hitting shortstop digging in from the left side to face Oliver. The right-hander from Baylor who's surrendered back-to-back singles here in the top of the first. And Brooks Lee, one of the league's most dangerous hitters at the plate. Oliver comes set, first pitch to Lee, low and outside for ball 1. But the .420 average, it would be atop the Cape League if he did qualify for plate appearances. Have to have 2.7 plate appearances per team game played. He's going to fall about 10 plate appearances short of that mark as he takes the next offering in the dirt, another breaking ball. 2 balls and no strikes. Here at Cotuit, Whitey will host Cotuit tomorrow in the season finale, weather permitting. With runners on first and second, Hoffman at second and Tanner Smith at first with Brooks Lee at the plate. 2 balls and no strikes the pitch. He takes another breaking ball, this time low, and now it's a 3-ball no strike count. Here to Brooks Lee. 13 runs driven in for the shortstop this season with 6 home runs after launching a ball dead center field out of the park. A 2-run shot for Lee yesterday, which gave Whitey a 3-1 lead at the time, and that's all they needed after they topped Chatham 8-1. And he takes a 4-pitch walk as the fastball misses inside, and the bases are loaded for the Red Sox here in the top of the first with nobody out for Cody Huff. So Brooks Lee reaches base for the 9th consecutive game, and Cody Huff, the catcher from Stanford, hitting here with the bases juiced. And speaking of free passes, Cody Huff walked for his first time in 37 plate appearances yesterday. In the 8-1 victory over Chatham, the Red Sox have won 4 games in a row, and first pitch, Huff is fooled out in front of the breaking ball for strike 1. 11 hits for the Red Sox yesterday. Huff was 0 for 3 with 1 walk. And that comes off a stretch where Cody Huff had a 3-game hitting streak, but it was no normal 3-game hitting streak. He had a 4 for 5 game in the series against Hyannis in a home-and-home. And that first at Red Wilson Field when YD won 12-2 3 games ago. The catcher went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 6 runs driven in. As Oliver, working out of the windup with the bases loaded, delivers the 1-1 pitch to Cody Huff, fouled away left side. Throwing Huff an off-speed pitch, 5'10", 195-pound catcher from Scottsdale, Arizona. Was a big part of the Stanford Cardinal team that reached Omaha. And hitting here with the bases loaded and nobody out in the top of the first. Oliver out of the wind, the 1-2. Cody Huff smacks this one left center field. It is back for Huff, and it's down. Cody Huff launches it for a home run, a grand slam to left center field. 4 batters into the game. The Red Sox are on top 4-0 after Cody Huff hits a grand slam. 4 more runs driven in for the Stanford catcher. He now has 18 runs driven in on the season and his first grand slam since he hit 2 in the NCAA Regional in the same game. Cody Huff touches them all, clears the base paths, and a 4-0 lead for the Red Sox here in the top of the first. Playing their best baseball of the season, they continue on that trend after Cody Huff. A big home run for the catcher, his 4th home run of the season, and his 3rd home run in the last 4 games as Chase Luttrell takes the first offering upstairs. And Oliver at this point in his outing, with 1 out recorded, it's similar to his other start of the season, making his first start as Chase Luttrell fouls it back, 1 ball and 1 strike. His other start, he went just a third of an inning on June 27th, his only other time that he started the game for Cotuit, when he allowed 3 earned runs and 4 hits with 1 walk. And Cotuit lost 9-2 in that contest against Bourne. He takes a fastball low, 2 balls and a strike here to Chase Luttrell out of Long Beach State. Was the Dirtbags' best hitter this past season. The 2-1 pitched from Oliver upstairs and outside. Now 3 balls and a strike. YD in business here in the top of the first. Advantage for the Red Sox, and Chase Luttrell keeps the line moving with a line drive single to right field. And he's aboard, 1 on for the Red Sox and 1 out in the top of the first for Zach Liu. So 4 hits for the Red Sox just here in the top of the first, and hitting has really been contagious for the Red Sox yesterday. And their 8-1 win, they had 11 hits, and just as of late, the hitting has really turned on for the Red Sox. The game before that, a 9-2 win against Hyannis, they had 13 hits. And in the game before that, 3 games ago, also against Hyannis, they had 16 hits. They've had 3 consecutive games with more than 10 hits. And speaking of hitting, Zach Liu waiting to hit after the mound visit occurring on the mound right now, and he has 4 hits over the past 2 games, back-to-back multi-hit games for Zach Liu. He's 4 for his past 9 at the plate, and after the conference with Oliver on the mound, after surrendering the single to Chase Luttrell, he's on first base. And the first back-to-back multi-hit stretch of the season for Zach Liu, as Chase Luttrell lined a single to right field, his 30th hit of the year. So Oliver comes set here to face Zach Liu, but first going to throw it over to Martorella at first base. Nothing doing, though. Chase Luttrell back with plenty of time, but someone definitely to keep an eye on. Does have 7 stolen bases, which leads the team. As Zach Liu takes the first pitch low for ball 1. And it's interesting, Luttrell's ability to run and play a little bit of small ball so far this season. He was an all Big West performer this past year as Liu fouls it back and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chase Luttrell, we knew he had good power and good gap-to-gap power over his 3 years at Long Beach State, a 291 career hitter, but just 9 stolen bases. As Chase Luttrell trying to swipe, speaking of the devil, but this time he's caught on the base paths as it was a throw from Matthew Donlin, a frozen rope, and then the tag applied by Eric Brown. And Luttrell off the base paths as he's caught, trying to get aggressive on the ball in the dirt from Oliver. So now you've got pop up right side, Zach Lou under it in shallow right field to make the play is Noah Bridges. So after Wyatt Hoffman and Tanner Smith singled, Brooks Lee walked, Cody Huff hit a grand slam, Chase Luttrell singled. The first 5 hitters reached for YD, but then Chase Luttrell is caught trying to take second base, and Zach Lou pops up. So now 2 outs, nobody on, 4 already across for YD here in the top of the first. And Cade Hunter coming to hit. Hunter had his 3rd double of the year coming yesterday, and he's really looked much better at the plate as of late. And his other double, one of his other 3 doubles, actually came against Cotuit when the Kettleers came to Red Wilson Field and topped the Red Sox 16-5. And Cotuit, after their 13-1 loss yesterday, it snapped a 5-game winning streak, but that propelled them to get into the playoffs. They'll face Bourne with the playoffs starting on Friday. Popped up left side. Grady, the third baseman, looking, but it's going to be out of play. So now a ball and 2 strikes to Cade Hunter, the left-handed hitting catcher, but playing first base today. First time he's doing that for the Red Sox so far this season. As Briley Knight is waiting on deck, and in the hole, the 9th place hitter, Crew Robinson, here in the top of the first. 4 hits for the Red Sox in this frame. And the 1-2 from Oliver. Cade Hunter fouls it back as he's staying alive. But Cade Hunter dealt with some injuries at Virginia Tech this past year, and when you miss so much time, it's hard to come back and then ultimately find that right timing again, but he's found that as of late. As the breaking ball misses low, been working with the coaching staff on his timing and his mechanics to be able to lock in at the plate and just change a few things in his mechanics. He's really been hitting hard line drives over the last week. The 2-2. Cade Hunter pops it up near side right by us, and it drops down in a vacant chair about 10 feet from me. So foul ball out of play for Cade Hunter. He stays alive. 2 balls, 2 strikes here in the top of the first. No, rather, you've got 3 balls and 2 strikes, rather. So take another peek at the scoreboard here at Lowell Park in left center field. Similar location to where Cody Huff deposited the baseball for his grand slam a few batters ago. And Cade Hunter, line drive to center field. 1 bounce and then into the glove of Jace Grady. And Hunter continues to hit, but not just hit with authority. He's hit the ball extremely hard. Yesterday, his double, it got caught in the fence. He hit it so hard at Red Wilson Field. A line drive single to center field right here. And Hunter, he's figured it out at the right time toward the end of the season as these athletes approach to go back to their universities and get ready for fall ball. And it's his first hitting streak since June on a 2-game hitting streak in Cade Hunter. But even earlier last week, Cade Hunter launched a ball 440 feet to right field, has mammoth power, and that ball gets away from Martorella at first after the pickoff attempt from Oliver, and Cade Hunter is going to motor into second in advance. Here with 2 outs, with Briley Knight at the plate, the pitch was a strike on the first offering to him. So no balls and a strike with 2 outs here in the top of the first. A 5-hit top of the first for the Red Sox. Briley Knight hitting 164 with 6 runs driven in on the year. His 36th game of the season. And that ball hit left side by Briley Knight. It's down in left field. Cade Hunter's going to come around to score. Briley Knight goes the other way. A single to left field that drives in Cade Hunter. And YD now on top 5-0 here in the top of the first. A first inning to forget for Cotuit, but how about the Red Sox? 6 hits here in the top of the first. Briley Knight, an RBI single, and 2 outs recorded for Oliver. Runner in motion in Briley Knight. He slides into second and in there with plenty of time as he advances into scoring position. And Briley Knight, he's been a good threat on the base path so far this season. His 6th stolen base of the year, which is one behind Chase Luttrell, who has 7, but he was actually caught earlier in this inning trying to take second base. Oliver comes set, Briley Knight at second, and the pitch. Crew Robinson yanks that one right side and foul as he pulls it out of play into the trees surrounding the ballpark. And now nothing into the count here with 2 outs. Briley Knight at second. Here in the top of the first, and the 9th hitter up, Crew Robinson, with the top of the lineup, Wyatt Hoffman at the plate. Crew Robinson, 4 for 26 on the season, but 0 for his last 11. He takes the breaking ball low. Coming off a junior college All-American campaign, taking his talents to UC San Diego. A ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs. Here in the top of the first, Briley Knight, the runner at second base after swiping second. On the first pitch from Oliver when he got aboard on an RBI single. And Robinson grounds this one over to first, right side. Martirella's there, steps on the bag. And the first inning is over, but not before YD comes clashing. 5 runs on 6 hits, including the big grand slam from Cody Huff. And YD in the middle of the first leads 5-0 over Cotuit on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. Back with you on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. A 5-0 lead for YD after a big 5-run top of the first. And in the bottom frame of the first, starting pitcher Zach Jacobs has a nice cushion to work with. And Zach Jacobs, his first appearance came against Cotuit. By far his worst outing of the year. Went 2 innings and surrendered 7 earned runs. Grounded right side. Wyatt Hoffman comes up on it over to Zach Jacobs at first, and he gets there in time for the first out. And whenever we see pitchers fielding practice involved with Zach Jacobs, we go back to his comments preseason talking about he's the most athletic pitcher you'll ever see. And he's kind of living up to it every single time. He does bust his butt over to first base and get there with plenty of time. He does his job on the balls hit to the right side. And that's another prime example, kind of a tweener between the second baseman and first baseman and Wyatt Hoffman and Cade Hunter. Hoffman, though, came up on it and threw it to first in time to Zach Jacobs for the 4-1 out. Breaking ball misses low and outside here to Carter Trice. 1 for his last 20 at the plate. And Zach Jacobs, the 6'1", 165-pound right-hander, delivers the 1-1 for strike 2. Jacobs has been really good over his past 2 starts. 12 innings and just 2 earned runs over the past 2 starts, which both came on the road at Harwich and at Chatham. And after his start At Harwich, he went 6 innings in each of his last 2 starts, but he got outs in different ways. Got primarily ground outs at Chatham, but mainly got flyouts against Harwich, and a fastball that's painted on the outside black for strike 3 as Carter Trice is rung up, and 2 quick outs for Jacobs here in the bottom of the first. A 5-0 lead for the Red Sox, and Ryan Ritter now steps to the plate, riding a 10-game hitting streak. Never did that at Kentucky. 2 outs, bottom of the first, and breaking ball in there for strike 1 as Jacobs gets ahead with the off-speed pitch. 70 miles per hour on the slow breaking ball from Jacobs, then a fastball hit hard to Brooks Lee, over to first, and in time, an efficient inning for Zach Jacobs. He sets down the side in order. He just needs 8 pitches during the frame after a long top of the first, and after 1, YD leading 5-0 on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. Back with you on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. Wyatt Hoffman, who led off the top of the first, leading off here in the top of the second as the Red Sox batted around. In the top frame of the first, after having 6 hits, scoring 5 runs, 4 of which came home on Cody Huff's grand slam, and Wyatt Hoffman skies this one in the air to left field. Suggs is under it, and he gloves it for the first out here in the top of the second. And a new pitcher into the ball game, Michael Simoniello from Seton Hall, a St. James, New York native, and the left-hander now on the mound in relief of Hamilton Oliver, who just recorded 3 outs in his second start of the season. And in this game for Cotuit, when they are getting ready for the playoffs, you think of these games as YD, okay, they want to finish the year strong with no postseason really in the picture for them. It was in the equation until they were eliminated mathematically a few days ago, as the first pitch fouled back from Tanner Smith. But for Cotuit, really a meaningless last 2 games for the Kettleers. They're already going to the playoffs. There's 3 balls and no strikes here to Tanner Smith. Here with 1 out in the top of the second. Excuse me on that count correction here to the left-handed hitting left fielder, and he takes a 4-pitch walk. He's aboard on first base. Tanner Smith, who reached base 5 times yesterday, has reached base in his first 2 plate appearances today. Tanner Smith and the base paths have become very accustomed to each other as he's getting aboard as of late. Great plate appearances from Tanner Smith over the last week. Top of the second, Smith is aboard here with 1 out, and Brooks Lee turns around to the right side with the new lefty into the ballgame and takes the first pitch for strike 1. He drew a 4-pitch walk last time he was at the plate. And the left-hander on the mound, Michael Simoniello, was primarily a first baseman at the high school level, did not play for Seton Hall this past year, and he hits Brooks Lee on his second offering to the shortstop. So Lee gets aboard via the hit by pitch. And now you've got runners on first and second here in the top of the second with YD leading 5-0, and Cody Huff, who hit a grand slam last time he was up at the plate. The first time Lee has been hit by a pitch this year, and he's on first. Tanner Smith, the runner at second. 5-0 lead for the Red Sox, and here's Cody Huff. This is a breaking ball, misses inside. Simoniello, left-hander from Seton Hall, though didn't have action this past season in 2021 in his first appearance here on Cape, so can't really find any record of him pitching since the high school level where he was primarily a first baseman. Cody Huff lines this one to center, and it's gloved by Jace Grady in center field for the second out. But a good piece of hitting from Cody Huff. Back-to-back times where he's hit the ball on the screws. His first at-bat, he deposited the ball over the left center field wall for a grand slam and lines out the center field here in his second at-bat. That brings up Chase Luttrell with 2 outs and 2 aboard here in the top of the second. A 5-0 lead for the Red Sox. And Luttrell, after his single in the first, was later caught stealing off the base paths as he swings through the first breaking ball. 0-1 the count. He's 5 for his last 12 at the plate. And he is facing a southpaw where his season numbers aren't as friendly. However, over the last week, he has 3 hits against southpaws. So he faces Simoniello here, and a throw down to second. And Donlin down it over to Ritter, who did apply the tag to Tanner Smith. The back pick attempted over at second. And Donlin thought he had him. He started taking his mask off, the catcher did, and running back toward Cotuit's dugout, but he did not get the call. It was the safe call from Mark Delaney, the umpire in the field now, and Chase Luttrell waves at a breaking ball for strike 3. So no runs for the Red Sox, no hits, but 2 left on in the frame. And in the middle of the second, the Red Sox lead 5-0 against the Kettleers on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. Back with you on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network, and Zach Jacobs back on the mound for YD in the bottom of the second. He just needed 8 pitches to retire the side in the bottom of the first as he set down the Kettleers in order And now Eric Brown will come to head. First pitch he takes outside for ball one. Brown went 0 for 4 yesterday, which snapped a 5-game hitting streak. He did walk against Jacobs in the right-hander's first appearance of the year. 2 balls and no strikes as the next breaking ball misses low from Zach Jacobs out of UC Riverside. And the young right-hander up and in for ball 3 at 88 miles per hour. And so Eric Brown, who walked against Jacobs last time the two faced each other, same story may be in case here, but Jacobs fires a strike, and now the count is 3 balls and 1 strike. Here in the bottom of the second, no outs, nobody on. Eric Brown, the cleanup hitter, leading off the frame. And he takes inside fastball for ball 4, a 5-pitch walk drawn by Eric Brown. And he begins the second, getting aboard on a free pass. But when you look at the season that Zach Jacobs has had, it's had its ups and its downs, but lately it's all been up for YD. His first outing of the year came against Cotuit when he went 2 innings and allowed 7 runs. However, he hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in an outing since that first appearance of the year. This is his 8th appearance of the season and his 4th start. And YD has won the last 3 starts for Zach Jacobs, and can't get too ahead of yourself, but in position to notch a victory in this one with a 5-0 lead here in the bottom of the second. Noah Bridges swings through the first offering, no balls and a strike. Bridges went 0 for 4 yesterday in the 13-1 loss against the Bourne Braves. And speaking of playing meaningful games down the stretch, think about Bourne, who clinched about a week ago first place. They already knew they're having the #1 seed, nothing else to prove. And now they host the first and, if necessary, 3rd game against Cotuit in the CCBL playoffs. Check swing on the bunt attempt, not pulled back in time. Cody Huff won an appeal. Mark Delaney is the umpire at second. The appeal says safe, so the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. And speaking of the umpires, Larry Rosenberg behind the plate calling balls and strikes. Jason Klump, the umpire at first base, and Mark Delaney in the field. 1 ball, 1 strike here in the bottom of the second. Jacobs a pickoff attempt over to Cade Hunter, but Brown is back in time. Won all of his final outing for the Red Sox. He was twitching in that area where you're supposed to come set and pause, and Jacobs gets called for the balk, so now he's not looking at a runner on first. Eric Brown advances to second on the balk called on Zach Jacobs. So 1 ball and 1 strike to the left-handed hitting right fielder Noah Bridges, who went 0 for 4 in yesterday's contest. Thought about bunting, pulled it back, but it's a strike. It snapped a stretch where he went 5 for 11 with 7 runs driven in after not getting a hit in yesterday's game. But now hitting here with Eric Brown at second base in the bottom of the second, nobody out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jacobs checks back at Brown a couple times and then's going to do a pickoff to Brooks Lee, the shortstop. Zach Jacobs, a YD starting pitcher. He's gone 6 innings his last 2 starts. You wonder how much length he can give the Red Sox today. And a fastball painted on the inside corner again. Jacobs gets his 2nd strikeout, both of which have been of the looking variety. And there's 1 out here in the bottom of the second. Brett Roberts, now the designated hitter, comes to hit. He was 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a home run against the Red Sox the last time the two teams met. When Cotuit, well, they took it to YD at Red Wilson Field. They topped the Red Sox 16-5 in that game. And Jacobs, he throws the pitch in the dirt to Cody Huff, and Brown was off with the pitch, so he moves up to third. Breaking ball that Cody Huff tried to backhand. Was able to knock it down, but not able to stop Brown from going to third base, so he advances up and now is 90 feet away from scoring the first run of the ball game for Cotuit. No throw was needed by Cody Huff as Brown was already at third. Got a great jump off of Zach Jacobs, timing up his looks. And then the breaking ball knocked down by Cody Huff. And Roberts had 2 doubles and a home run in that game against YD, one of which came against Jacobs. Swing and a miss on the 2-0 pitch. A healthy hack from Roberts. So now 2 balls and a strike with 1 out. Eric Brown, he's the runner at third base, led off this inning with a walk. Grounded hard right side. Wyatt Hoffman backhands it at second, on to first. But no, Cade Hunter had his foot off the bag. Looked like somewhat of a routine play for Wyatt Hoffman's standards, the way he's played second base this year. Was able to gather it, backhand it, throw it to first. But the first baseman, Cade Hunter, pulled off the bag. And so Hunter pulling off the bag. He didn't play first at Virginia Tech and not really accustomed to playing at first base. Mainly as a catcher or designated hitter for the Red Sox. There may be signs of that coming out, not knowing the footwork of what a first baseman has to do. Every ground ball that is hit, you find your feet, you go back to first base, you put your foot on the pillow, and then you extend to try to stretch. But Cotuit scores a run on the ground ball, which looked like a ground out, but this time it gets Roberts aboard. That ball smacked to right field off the top of the wall, and Martorello rounds into second, and it's going to be Eric Brown who comes around to score. So Eric Brown scored, and then it's Brett Roberts who came around to score after the RBI double from Nathan Martorella, nearly hitting a home run there as the left-handed hitting first baseman now has hits in 6 of his past 7 games. And it's his 9th run driven in of the season. Aggressive against Zach Jacobs, nearly hitting a home run. But that allows Brett Roberts to score. Now Jacobs, they're going to step on first base to see if maybe Martorella missed the bag rounding second. Hunter steps on second, but Jason Klump, the umpire, says safe. So Martorella still on second base. There's 1 out in the bottom of the second. And Cotuit has scored 2 runs in the frame. Eric Brown led off the inning and then scored on the ground ball from Brett Roberts, but Roberts was able to reach after Cade Hunter didn't get back on the bag, and then Roberts scored on the Martorella RBI double. He's kind of been on a tear, the left-handed hitting first baseman. Hits in 6 of his past 7 games. He's on second base after his double. And the pitch to Matthew Suggs misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Jacobs trying to get out of a tight spot here in the bottom of the second. YD leading by 3 runs, a 5-2 score. YD scored 5 runs in the top of the first, but Cotuit has added 2 in the bottom of the second, and breaking ball at 73 miles per hour, taken for strike 2. Matthew Suggs has struck out in 11 of his 12 games this year on Cape. And in a 1 ball, 2 strike count here. One out here in the bottom of the second, breaking ball. Low and outside. So count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jacobs, deep breath. Here comes the 2-2 from the righty. Fouled away left side. Pulled hard foul as he stays on the fastball. Was ready to hit it, but just yanked a line drive into foul territory. So still a 2-2 count with one out in the bottom of the second. Matthew Suggs, the left fielder, at the plate. Just with one out in the frame. That ball popped up in foul territory. Just one hit today for Cotuit, which just came the last batter from Nathan Martorella, but 2 runs scored in the frame. Zach Jacobs just needed 8 pitches to retire the side in order in the first, but here in the second, a leadoff walk of Eric Brown. He came around to score on the ground ball by Brett Roberts, and he reached after the air by Cade Hunter. And then Nathan Martorella with the double. He's on second as the off-speed pitch misses, and now the count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out in the bottom of the second. The payoff pitch awaits from Zach Jacobs. With Matthew Suggs at the plate, Matthew Donlin is next, the 9th place hitter. Jacobs comes set. And here comes the payoff pitch from the righty. Breaking ball, back cracked, up the middle. It's through the infield and will go to center. Coming around to score is Martorella. He does, in an RBI single for Matthew Suggs. Back-to-back hits for Cotuit off Zach Jacobs, and they've added 3 runs and now trail 5-3 here in the bottom of the second after YD took a 5-0 lead in the top of the first. In the bottom of the second, back-to-back RBI hits for Cotuit Kettleers. One from Nathan Martorella in the form of an RBI double, and Matthew Suggs drives him home with an RBI single up the middle. That brings up Matthew Donlin, the catcher for Cotuit. He's 6 for his last 12, has really swung the bat well as of late. And this is the first time Zach Jacobs has allowed more than 2 runs in a game since his first outing of the year, which came against Cotuit when he went 2 innings and allowed 7 runs. He begins the year with Cotuit and ends his outings with Cotuit, but everything in between has been great for Zach Jacobs trying to get out of this bottom of the second. 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 out and 1 aboard. But 2 hits for Cotuit in this frame, both RBI knocks, and they've scored 3 runs. Being hurt by the error of Cade Hunter, so you wonder what will be charged as an earned run to Mr. Jacobs, but he's trying to get out of it nonetheless. Grounded left side, Zach Liu, but he boots it. Brooks Lee comes up and barehands it off the ricochet, but not going to be in time, and Matthew Donlin reaches first base. Interesting what they may call this for Mr. Liu, who's been so sure-handed over at the hot corner this year for the Red Sox. Zach Liu as pitching coach Tom Basella, who earlier this summer was recently named head coach at Hillsdale College, a Division II, now having a conversation with his starting pitcher Zach Jacobs and catcher Cody Huff. After that quick conference occurs, after Jacobs surrenders another base runner this inning, it is ruled an error on Zach Jacobs as you look at the scoreboard. 2 errors credited to YD, both coming in this inning. One occurred on a ground ball to Wyatt Hoffman when Cade Hunter didn't have his foot on the bag. And then there, the ground ball ate up Zach Liu, and the play was not made. Lineup card flips back over to Jace Grady. He's 10 for his last 18 at the plate and has another hit rifled to right field right there. Coming around to score, and in time, Cotuit gets another run in the form of Matthew Suggs. And the Kettleers in business here in the bottom of the second. All of a sudden, a 5-4 ball game, as Donlin advances to third base, and Jace Grady has an RBI single. So a walk occurred in the second. To begin the frame, it was Eric Brown. Bridges struck out, but then an error A double, a single, and an error. And then the single from Jace Grady. He's on first base. Runners on the corners. First pitch swinging from Carter Trice. And a diving play made in left field by Tanner Smith. But the runner tagging and coming around to score in time. Tanner Smith does glove it for the second out. But Matthew Donlin, who reached on the air by Zach Liu, then advanced to third on the single by Jace Grady, comes around to score on the sacrifice fly by Carter Trice. And we're all tied up here 5-5 in the bottom of the second. You want some offense? Well, you've got it in this ball game. Teams trading 5-run frames. Now you've got Ryan Ritter up on a 10-game hitting streak, grounded out to Brooks Lee to end the first. This one's to Brooks Lee. He backhands it, throws it across the diamond, but not going to be in time. An infield single for Ryan Ritter. And now Eric Brown will come back for the second time this inning. So both teams have had innings where they've scored 5 runs and batted around, and now Cotuit's Eric Brown, who led off this inning with a walk and then came around to score. Hitting here in the bottom of the second, a 5-5 ball game. Runners on first and second with 2 outs. A nightmare of an inning for Zach Jacobs brings back memories of his first start when he surrendered 7 runs over a 2-inning span against Cotuit at Red Wilson Field. Brown had a 5-game hitting streak snapped yesterday after going 0 for 4, but walked in his first at-bat, which came to begin this inning. But the Kettleers have batted around. 1 ball, no strikes. Runners on first and second. Zach Jacobs comes set, takes a peek, and then looks back, but it's Jace Grady who gets back with plenty of time. Grady, the runner, over at first base. Jacobs check back once again. 4 hits in this inning for Cotuit. And YD, over the past 4 games during their 4-game winning streak, they had outscored opponents 34-6. And coming into today's game, they've allowed 5 runs here in the bottom of the second. Tied at 5. Jacobs comes set. Breaking ball misses high. And now 3 balls and no strikes. Tim, to begin this frame, and facing him for the second time in this inning, it's a 3-ball, no strike count. It's just the second time this season that YD has allowed another team to bat around in an inning. Jacobs fires a fastball in for strike 1. So 3 balls and a strike. Here with 2 outs in the bottom of the second. YD with 6 hits and 5 runs, 4 of which came on the Cody Huff grand slam. But Cotuit with 5 runs, all coming in the bottom of the second. They've got runners on first and second. And strike 2 called, so Jacobs battling back in the count. Here to Eric Brown, hitting for a second time. Here in the bottom of the second. YD has already chased the starting pitcher for Cotuit as Michael Simoniello came in, relieved the left-hander last inning and threw a scoreless top of the second. But here in the bottom of the second, it is ball 4, missed outside at 91 miles per hour from Zach Jacobs. And Eric Brown walks for a second time this inning. So the bases are loaded all this. Noah Bridges will come to hit. He struck out looking in his first at-bat, which came, of course, early. Seemed to be eager to get pitchers out of the ball game quickly. Misses outside. 2 balls and no strikes here to Noah Bridges. Brown's first multi-walk game of the year. But it's a multi-walk inning for him as well, as he led off this frame with a walk and scored. One of the 5 runs as that ball popped up right side, and under it is Cade Hunter. And the play is able to be made in foul territory for the Red Sox. But not before Cotuit answers back. 5 runs on 4 hits. They strand the bases loaded as well. And after the second, stay locked in with us on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. A 5-5 score here from Lowell Park. Back on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network, 2 5-run frames for either team, 5-5. Here in the top of the third, Brad Klein to tell you all about this offensive outburst.
Oh, thanks, Will. 1 ball, no strikes to Zach Liu. Flew out to right field his first time up in the first inning. That was a long time ago. In fact, it was 5 Cotuit runs ago. And that first inning was way back when it looked like it would be a YD slaughter. 5 runs, 4 of them earned against the starting pitcher, Hamilton Oliver. And Liu grounds it up the middle. And a flip over to short for no reason. Eric Brown gives it to Ryan Ritter, thinking he was trying to turn 2. And Ritter, the shortstop, does it for him. The force over to first. Flashy play for Eric Brown and Ryan Ritter, tag teaming for the ground ball with the bases empty. Well, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. A 4-6-3 ground ball with no one on base.
Give it to us.
The only reasonable explanation you can come up with is Cade Hunter watches the bounce changeup, 1 ball and 1 strike after the fastball that nicked the inside corner. 1 out, no one on. The only reasonable explanation is that Brown's momentum was carrying in so much, and he didn't feel comfortable with an off-balance throw to first. But either way, now it's 2 balls and 1 strike after the changeup misses outside to the red-hot Cade Hunter. Line drive, left center field. That gets down for a base hit, and 1 hops the wall. Hunter rounds first. He's on his way to second. Takes a hard turn around second base. And a 1-out double for Cade Hunter. A multi-hit game for the Virginia Tech catcher. He cannot be stopped. Cade Hunter, with his single in the first inning, pieced together his first hit streak of 2 since June. And now it's his second hit of the day. Enter Briley Knight, the lefty from Portland. And the first pitch curveball delivered by the lefty Mike Simoniello from Seton Hall, misses low and away, ball 1. 1 out and a runner on second base, a tie ball game at 5 apiece. A 5-run first for YD, a 5-run second for Cotuit. And Briley Knight thinks better of the curveball, same spot, 2 balls, no strikes. Now Simoniello missed 2 months, or rather, Cade Hunter missed 2 months with a broken bone. In his wrist. 2 balls and a strike to Briley Knight. He was waiting for his strike and the fastball right down the middle. But Hunter, ever since a slight mechanical change that he and the coaching staff agreed on, he's really been a different version of himself. 86-mile-an-hour changeup, high and tight. 3 balls and a strike with 1 out. Briley Knight, the Portland Pilot, at the dish. And the 3-1 misses outside, ball 4. So a ground out, a double, and a walk puts runners on first and second, 1 out for Crew Robinson. Mentioned that mechanical change, something in his hips and his momentum. He's 6 for his last 14 ever since he made that swap. 3 doubles and a homer as well. The last time Crew Robinson had a hit, it was the game-winning home run against Chatham at Veterans Field. He's 0 for his last 12, including a ground out to first in the first inning. 1 ball, no strikes, fastball outside. Simoniello, the lefty, deals. And another fastball, this one on the outside corner. Count even at 1-1 with runners on first and second. It's Knight on first and Cade Hunter on second. Plenty of speed for YD in a 5-5 game, top of the 3rd inning. From Lowell Park in Cotuit, Massachusetts. And the 1-1 breaking ball that Robinson tornadoes around. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now that 12-6 curve is something that the southpaw Simoniello has really relied on in the 3rd inning to claw his way back in front of counts. And the 1-2. Here's another curveball, misses low in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the left-handed hitting Crew Robinson, JUCO All-American, with 1 out. Here's the pitch, another curveball. Crew Robinson twirls at it again and misses. The throw down by Donlin at second, not in time for the leading Cade Hunter. So 2 away as Crew Robinson is retired for the second time today, and the second strikeout for Simoniello. Here comes Wyatt Hoffman, the top of the order. 1 for 2 on the day, has seen 11 pitches. It was first a 9-pitch single to start the game, ended up scoring a run. And just saw 2 pitches before flying out to left in the second. Inside changeup, ball 1. Donlin flipped the mask. It was in the dirt. Thought that Cade Hunter might be a little frisky at second. Tie game at 5 apiece in the top of the third inning. 2 outs with runners on first and second for the senior from the University of the Pacific, Wyatt Hoffman. And the pitch inside, ball 2. Now Simoniello topping out around 87, 88 miles an hour. Strikes, fastball outside. Was a highly touted prospect coming out of high school, though. The only issue was that he was the highest touted first baseman in New York. Here's the 3-0. Hoffman was taking all the way, and that's a mistake, according to the home plate umpire Larry Rosenberg. As soon as Hoffman tossed his bat, thinking he didn't need that anymore, could have been a 4-pitch walk. A late strike call on the outside corner. So 3 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs. Wyatt Hoffman is a hitter now. Runners on first and second, a 5-5 game, top of the third inning. And the pitch misses outside, no doubt about it, ball 4. A 5-pitch walk for Wyatt Hoffman, the second free pass in the past 3 batters. And the bases are loaded with 2 outs for Tanner Smith. And with 2 outs, the lefty from Oregon thinks better of the curveball outside. Now Cotuit now will go for a mound visit for Simoniello. But they definitely let their starter, Hambleton Oliver, work through his troubles in the first inning. Oliver ended up getting 3 outs, but allowing 5 runs, 4 of them earned, 6 hits. No strikeouts. So at this point, the Kettleers have already clinched their spot in the CCBL playoffs out in the West with that second seed behind Bourne. So this could be considered training camp, and what better way to train than have your pitchers work through some problems in real time on the mound. Now, this is a big problem, though, for Simoniello. YD's leading RBI getter with 23, Tanner Smith, 1 for 1 on the day, a single and a walk, and a run scored in the first with the bases loaded. Cade Hunter on third base, Riley Knight on second, and Wyatt Hoffman on first. You probably can't ask for a speedier combo on the base paths if you're Scott Pickler. 1 ball and no strikes after the mound visit. The lefty Simoniello comes set at the belt. Kicks and deals. Fastball on the inside corner. Count even at 1-1. Four of the previous 5 pitches prior to that fastball had been balls. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Tanner Smith swings through the fastball above the zone. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So the 2 pitches after the mound visit, Simoniello buckling down and challenging Smith. A reverse split guy hits better against the Southpaws. Hunter on third, Knight on second, Hoffman on first. The 1-2 swung on and driven to left field. Matthew Sugg saunters under it. 5 steps to his left to make the catch, side retired. So YD comes up empty-handed. No runs on 1 hit and 3 left on. In the middle of the third, the Red Sox 5, the Kettleers 5, right here on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. Back here on the Windy Red Sox Baseball Network in the bottom of the third inning. Brent Klein with you from Lowell Park. And Zach Jacobs still on the mound. A lot of Red Sox fans might be surprised about that. He gave up 5 runs on 4 hits in the second inning. And the Kettleers batted around. Brett Roberts, the DH leading off, flies it out to shallow right field. Chase Luttrell motions like a fair catch receiver and makes the catch for the first out. So 1 pitch and 1 out, just the way he started the first inning. And Brett Roberts is retired for the first time today, reached on an error in the second. But Zach Jacobs needed a quick out after that nightmare of a second inning, the first time he's allowed more than 2 runs since his June debut against the Kettleers. And a first pitch elevated fastball outside to the lefty Nathan Martorella. RBI double in the second. That was his 3rd double of the season and the first since July 2nd. 2 balls and no strikes after the fastball skips low beneath the mitt of Cody Huff and back to the screen. Zach Jacobs working from the windup with his elevated lifted Red Sox and white cleats, and the pitch, fastball, fisted foul. At 89 miles an hour, Jacobs doesn't necessarily dial it up very much. The biggest strength for him is the difference between his fastball, 89, 90 miles an hour, and his curveball, which gets as slow as 70 miles an hour. And the lefty Martorella fouls it down the left field line, out of play. Nathan Martorella, the first baseman from Cal Berkeley. The senior has hits in 6 of his past 7 games. And the 2-2 to Martorella, chopped left side. Brooks Lee charging in, and the shortstop on the run makes the play to the first baseman, Cade Hunter. So 2 away in the bottom of the third inning, and Matthew Suggs, the left fielder, will try his hand. Once again, had an RBI single in the second inning. But Matthew Suggs is widely regarded as one of the biggest strikeout threats in the CCBL, and the righty takes the fastball off of the loose part of his jersey, letter high. So the second time that Matthew Suggs, a 2-out base runner for Cotuit, and the 9-hitter Matt Donlin digs in. A right-handed hitter from UConn, and talking to former Windy Red Sox Andrew Marrero earlier today about Donlin, as Donlin fouls off the first pitch, 88-mile-an-hour fastball over the screen and out of play. Well, he played Donlin in multiple inter-squad games, even though the senior didn't actually play this past year for the Huskies, but said that this guy's a fighter, defensive star with a cannon behind the plate as a catcher. But at the dish, he's going to battle off a lot of tough pitches and work himself into deep counts, but quickly in a deep hole, no balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs after fouling back the fastball. But the senior, a transfer from Stonehill College, 6 for his last 12. Here's the 0-2 from Jacobs in the dirt for ball 1. A runner on first, Matthew Suggs, after being hit by the first and only pitch he saw. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, YD 5, Cotuit 5 in the bottom of the third inning. And Donlin fouls it back on the changeup. Well, Donlin didn't play because he wasn't eligible this past year as a redshirt sophomore and academic senior. But a ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs. Jacobs working from the stretch. And the pitch. Line drive, left field, base hit. Over the glove of a leaping Lou. Matthew Suggs digging out for third. He'll be held up there. A 2-out single, advance on the throw for Matthew Donlin. Runners on second and third with 2 outs for the top of the order. So Donlin is now 7 for his last 13. I'll make that 7 for his last 14. And Jace Grady, a sophomore from Dallas Baptist, has a chance to take the lead, the first lead of the day for the Kettleers, if he can knock home a run. It's Suggs on third, Donlin on second, and the left-handed hitting Grady takes ball 1. Now Grady's actually a switch hitter and is much better against the righties. Foul ball on the fastball, out of play, left side. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, runners on second and third. Jace Grady is 6 for 12 against right-handed pitching in the CCBL. But as a right-handed hitter, he's 2 for 16. Singled in the second inning and the 1-1. Big swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes on the changeup. Jace Grady taps the plate a couple of times. And the 1-2. Big swing and a miss again. The curveball in the dirt, drop third strike. Huff completes the play to first, and that retires the side. The third strikeout of the day for Zach Jacobs couldn't have come at a better time to get the leadoff man Jace Grady and retire the side. Strand 2 runners in scoring position. That's now 5 runners stranded for Cotuit in the past 2 innings, and the game is still tied at 5 apiece at the end of 3 right here on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network. Back on the YD Red Sox Baseball Network, top of the 4th inning. We're tied at 5 apiece between the Red Sox and the Kettleers. Brad Klein with you from Lowell Park, and to get to 5-5, it was an adventure. 5 runs, 4 of them earned for YD in the first inning off of the starter Hambleton Oliver. Mike Simoniello came in the second and settled things down, though. Has only allowed 1 hit. That was a double to Cade Hunter. And now Brooks Lee takes the first pitch fastball for ball 1. As the leadoff man swinging from the right side. All-American from Cal Poly leading off the 4th inning, and the 1-0 nubbed foul with a lot of English over to the hitting coach on the right side for YD. Well, Lee has reached base twice today, one hit by pitch and a walk, and swings through the breaking ball in the dirt, 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's 18 for his last 34. Do the math, carry the one, that's a .529 batting average since his 0 for 9 skid. And the 1-2 in the dirt. Brooks Lee thought better of it by the ankles. 2 balls and 2 strikes with no one on and no one out. That hit by pitch, by the way, that he took in the second, his first of the year. The 2-2 outside and high for ball 3. So Brooks Lee working the count. Something he doesn't necessarily do that much. Says he loves to ambush the fastballs early in the count. And the payoff pitch. Fastball, didn't ambush that one. Taken for strike 3 called. And Larry Rosenberg, the home plate umpire, punching out Brooks Lee the first time he's retired. Lee didn't like it, looked back at Rosenberg and kind of shrugged his shoulders, saying, where exactly in the strike zone was that? He thought it was outside and also maybe a little bit low. So 1 out and no one on for Cody Huff. Had the grand slam in the first inning, and a first pitch fastball at 85 miles an hour misses inside to the righty from Stanford. And the 1-0, lifted foul right side. That was his first grand slam since the regional for Stanford, but then again in that game had 2 grand slams.